This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, so welcome to performance testing with JMeter Core to advanced level, right? And today will be day 3. Okay, so moving ahead. So today, in day 2 we talked about the JMeter introduction, right? And then installation and then launching, right? And then how it looks and some other thing, correct? Now from today we'll start some core concept of performance testing, fine? So see, in IT industry there is a term called server. Okay, so what is server? Server is a combination of hardware and software. Software by itself is of no use. It needs to be installed on hardware. Correct? So see, what is server? Our laptop or our computer is also a kind of server only. So server are just like upgraded version of uh, of a CPU. So let us say in our laptop, what is there? A hardware is there, right? Where CPU is there, correct? Then memory is there, correct? Memory. In memory, what is there? RAM, ROM is there, right? RAM and then plus ROM, right? ROM. What is RAM? Anyone have any idea what is RAM? And then what is ROM?
Uh, Hi, Rahul here. So RAM is basically, part of the heap memory, and RAM is, responsible to execute the object, and ROM is kind of the, you know, hard disk where we can save our
Yeah,
all the, kind of the data.
yes. So this ROM means read-only memory. Generally, it means what? Hard disk, correct? Hard disk. Okay, HD. And ROM, okay, so that is ROM. And this RAM is actually the volatile memory. Like you must have heard of 8 GB, 16 GB, right? This thing, this term, right? So that is a, it's read random access memory. It's a volatile memory. So that is what memory. Then CPU is there. CPU is what? The processor. Apart from that, many things is there, right? Motherboard and many things are there. So that is hardware part. Then inside that, what will be the one operating system will be there, right? And then inside that operating system, all the softwares will be there, right? So same way, server are nothing but they are big machines. They will be big machines. Okay, very big CPUs. There also same thing will be there, CPUs, memory, and all other thing will be there, but they will be of high quality, right? And high performance. And there also OS will be there, operating system. And then inside that, what will be the application will be there. Application means, let us say, Flipkart or Amazon, right? So that will be kept and inside that. And these all will be kept somewhere and people will be accessing through internet that website. So that is server. So right, got the idea what is server. Server is basically combination of the hardware part and the software means the application. Okay, application where it is kept and all the things over there. Now, okay, so that is server. Now there are different kinds of servers are there. Nowadays everything is earlier server used to be there in on-premise, on-prem they call in premise, on-prem means every company, let us say Amazon or Flipkart, will have their own servers. That place where they will be having their own server will be called data centers, right? So they will be maintaining their all servers and everything, big machines. Now, uh, but nowadays everything is moving to cloud. Okay, so cloud is nothing but it's also server only, but the hardware part and the maintenance and other thing is taken care by some other people. Okay, that is what cloud is nothing. Okay, it's a service. Cloud is a service, right? So like as I said, earlier on-prem used to happen, right? On-premise. On-premise means like let us say I'll tell you that in very simple example. Let us say in school you must have heard of library, right? So library will be there, right? In library many shelves will be there, in that books will be kept. So that is what on-prem means, each school having their own library, correct? Now, so likewise, Flipkart will be having his own data center where his all servers for running the Flipkart application will be kept, right? That is what on-prem. But now let us say a digitization came and all the books are now available online, correct? Online. Yeah, at one place they are kept and all the schools can access those all books. So on-prem is gone here, right? It's just the central thing. So same way is cloud. Cloud is nothing but instead of the company owning their own data center and keeping their own servers, they are buying the servers, okay, which are maintained by other people like Amazon is there, Microsoft is there, Google is there, Oracle is there. This kind of people, this kind of big companies are providing online facility where this server thing, right? Because the server part is always needed, right? So that will this service will be offered by them. You have to just buy from any one of them, right? And you have to take the space. Space means what? The server space, okay, how much you need, and then you have to keep your application on there. So the infrastructure, right, the location, the server thing, that will be maintained by these people only. You do not have to worry. So like library thing, that's what the example I told, right? Now library is not needed, right? The books are there somewhere. So same way servers are kept and taken care by somewhere. I am just utilizing them. That is what cloud. Okay. Yeah, many different features are there. That is different thing, but that is what cloud. There also servers are there. It's not like the servers are not there. Okay. So that is what servers. Okay. So going forward, whenever we talk in performance testing, we do the performance testing of the server. So going forward, when we talk about the performance of server, it means that we talk about both the hardware thing and the software thing. Correct? So the types of servers are there here. Web application DB. We'll talk about them later on. There's a small notes is there. You can read them. Now, next is protocol. Okay, protocol. Protocol. What is protocol? So protocol is a set of rules and guidelines for communicating between two devices. Okay, between two devices, like let us say Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. That is also a kind of protocol. Okay, right? You must have those from engineering background. They must have learned this protocol thing in computer networks, right? So computer network subject, correct? So that is what protocol is. There is so many protocol in this world, right? So basically protocol is a set of rules. You can say it's a medium, okay, medium for connecting two devices. Yeah, technically we call it as a set of rules and guidelines for communicating data between two devices. Okay, now when we talk about the server thing, user and server, so that time we generally talk that protocol is the medium of communication between client and server. Here client is who? The user. Client means user. Okay, so what are different examples of protocol like HTTP, FTP, SMTP, SNP, TCP, ATC? Now out of this we'll be talking majorly on this because this is the major protocol that we always use. Okay, HTTP. Okay, before that HTTP, we'll learn PTLC lifecycle. So performance testing lifecycle. Okay, now okay, so performance testing lifecycle, it has generally 6 to 7 phases. See, there are different life cycle. Okay, in our computer world, one is SDLC. What is SDLC? Software development life cycle. Okay, then we have STLC, software testing life cycle. Okay, then we have BLC, bug life cycle. So likewise we have PTLC, performance testing life cycle. Okay, you must have learned this, right? Or those who have little idea on testing, they must aware of this, right? Those who are not aware, I'll suggest that take a small course on manual testing from uh, any YouTube channel. You will get many people are teaching. Okay, you will get for free. So that is because manual testing, do not think like why I learn manual testing. Okay, manual testing concepts, right? In that is manual testing is nothing. In manual testing, you will learn the testing concept, the base, the foundation of testing. Okay, the base or the foundation of testing. You have to learn, right? Because see, development is different domain, testing is different domain. So suppose you want to be a developer, so you have to learn the basics, right? Like OOPS concept, right? You must have heard of OOPS, object oriented programming language. The OOPS concept you have to learn. That is the basic, right? The basics you have to learn everywhere. So same way now so that is different. Now if you want to be a tester, so you have to learn the basics, right? The foundation. Okay, so that you can learn from any YouTube channel, different terms of testing, right? Because the foundation is needed. Okay, on this foundation only you will be moving with automation testing or performance testing or manual testing itself, right? Manual testing itself, right? This will come, but base we should have we must have the idea of the base. Okay, so same way in performance testing we have PTLC, performance testing life cycle. Okay, and in that we have 6 to 7 phases, right? So what are those? First phase is NFR gathering, non-functional requirement gathering, NFR. Okay, so see, we have functional testing, right? And we have non-functional testing, NFT, correct? Performance testing is what? Performance testing is a NFT. It's a non-functional testing, right? Now in functional testing, there will be one document. The document we call that as a BRD document, okay? Business requirement document, right? Means what? Let us say you want to test application, something, right? Let us say you want to test Amazon.com, that application you want to test. So some that business, what business means what, right? So what the user does on Amazon, what different tasks the user does on Amazon, right? That means that is called business, correct? The business, right? So business related document, like what to do, what not to do, what to test, all these things will be documented. So that is called BRD document, right? Business requirement document that will be there in the functional testing. Same way in performance testing we have the same document, but its name is NFR. Okay, NFR gathering. Since functional performance testing is a non-functional testing, right? That's why it's called non-functional requirement gathering. Okay, NFR gathering and documentation gathering and its documentation. Okay, so see, so in this phase generally what is done, right? So in this phase, many things are there. I have one document explaining this. Okay, so you'll be getting this document. you can read from there, right? Later on after finishing this course, then you'll be getting more idea what together, what not together. This is in depth, in detailed document, correct? But for now, I'll just tell you in short that like let us say in this step, what we do, taking the inputs from business client. Business client means what? The person's product means, let us say Amazon, right? You have to work on, you have to do performance testing on Amazon, right? So the Amazon will be your a product for you, right? Or the person who is the owner of Amazon will be called client. Okay, client, right? So uh, or you can say if you are direct employee of the Amazon, so you can say the product, that Amazon product. So we have to take inputs related to that product. Okay, like what inputs, right? So that inputs we have to take. Now we'll ask me what input, right? So let us say what to test, right? For how many number of users we have to do the load test, correct? What are the scenarios that we have to test, correct? What is the concurrency, what is the meaning of concurrency will come later on, that we have to maintain. What is think time, throughput, pacing, this all we'll discuss later on. So this is what we have to collect from the from that product owner. Product, right? Any product, the product means any software on which you will be working, you are going to work. So who will be the owner of that? Owner in the sense who knows that product very well, right? So in the IT world, they are generally called business analysts. Okay, business analyst, they know the functionality or the yeah, or the behavior of the product, right? So they will explain it. So from them we have to take this and then document this, correct? There are many, as I said, I have shown you that document. There are many things that you can collect and prepare the NFI, right? Now we do not have to worry. Generally this thing is done by a very highly experienced persons. Okay, means like you can say 7 year or 8 year, generally year of experienced persons, or plus only 7 plus, I'll say. Okay, more than 7 years of uh, like you can understand that senior level person, manager level person, generally this is done by them. Okay, so as a beginner you do not have to worry, right? Okay, then once this is done, then we do test strategy or test planning. So what is that strategy? Right, so uh, yeah, test strategy or test planning. So in test strategy, the we have to do the planning. You can say its name itself is planning. Like what will be the budget? Budget means for everything there is a price, right? Price, like in how much we have to do this and other thing. Then who will be working? Uh, what will be the tool that we should pick, right? What are the protocol? Protocol means uh, uh, you'll get the idea what is the meaning of protocol. Protocol means let us say on the application that you are going to test, so with which what is the medium of communications, right? With which it is communicating with the user. So that protocol we have to identify. So I'll give you example, do not worry. Then environment setup. Environment setup also will get idea later on what is environment. Okay, environment means for now I'll just tell you in very simple way. Environment means a setup. Okay, area, or you can say a small kind of a home. Okay, a home where the product will be kept and we have to test, right? So that is what environment is. That is the meaning of environment. So this thing is done in planning. Okay, now again this is also done by senior level person. Okay, so we do not have to worry. Now, this two phase, it's just a manual phase. Manual phase means no tool is required. No tool is required. It's just human intervention. Human is involved only. Human means the employee, right? Employee performance testers are involved. Human is involved, right? Performance testing tool are no PT tool, no performance testing tool are involved. Okay, in this step, fine. Performance testing tool will is only involved in this phase, these two phase 3 and phase 4. In this phase only, performance testing tool is involved. Okay, so after planning, we do the test design or test scripting, right? So that is phase 3. So we'll start from phase 3 only. Our course will start from phase 3 only, because here only the tool is involved. So yes, our phase 3 test design and test scripting has again sub phases, right? So I'll be coming to that, right? So this is called scripting phase or script preparation and enhancement phase, right? You can say scripting phase or script preparation and enhancement phase. Here is the thing where the tool will be coming in picture. Then once this phase is completed, then we run the test. That is phase 4. We have to do the user load distribution, that is also called as workload modeling, and uh, we have to execute the test execution, okay, or load testing, you can say load testing, putting the load. And here also the PT tool, performance testing tool, is involved, right? So these are the two phase where basically the tool is involved. Once we have done the load testing and then we have done the test execution, then we will get some report, right? So again, when we get the report and the result, right, result and report, so we have to analyze that result and we have to report that. Okay, means from like you are reading something, right? You are analyzing something. So from that, what you are getting, what idea you are getting, that is what you have to report. And then we have to do benchmarking and recommendations we have to do, set up like uh, again this phase is also like human intervention, direct human, no tool is required. As a employee, performance tester employee, you have to do that. Tool is not involved, because that is what where we have to analyze and report, right? So total it's human intervention. Then benchmarking and recommendation. So generally experienced person or a senior person do this. They do some recommendation, right? Recommendation means they will tell you where is the problem is. So once we have the result, right, and we do the analysis, so and you prepare the report, then from report they will tell you what is the problem, where is the problem, right? Okay, so now you'll ask me what kind of problem, right? So let us say you are running a test and then somewhere the response time is high, right? Or like that result is failing or some problem with. So there what we have to do, that is what we have to analyze and prepare the report, and then we have to do the recommendation. So again, this is also like human intervention. Tool is not involved, right? It's this all thing is human intervention thing and experience based thing, right? And then we have to, if required, we have to rerun the test. Okay, rerunning of the test. So you got the idea. So basically in this in this third and fourth phase only, PT tool is involved. Now next. Okay, so Now, as I said, we'll start talking from the phase 3 phase, right? So test design and test scripting. Okay. So hope my audio is clear. So in this only, in this phase, uh, again it is divided into uh, 2 to 3 to 4 steps. We have to do the identification and documentation of business or test scenario, right? Actually, okay, yeah. So we have to identify and document the business or test scenarios, okay, or business or user flow, or this is also called a user journey or user story. Okay, there are many names for this. So we have to identify and document the business scenario, or it is also called as test scenario, or it is also called a business flow or user journey or user story, many names. Okay, now you'll ask me, uh, okay, I'll explain what is scenario, do not worry. So we have to identify and document the business scenario and the transactions, whatever the transactions are there, those transactions involved uh, in that business scenario, right, along with critical scenarios and feasible and non-feasible scenarios. So this is what we have to do, right? So now let us start talk, talking about what is a scenario, right? So see, on any application, right, there will be different business scenario. Now I'll ask what is this, right? So let us take an example of Flipkart, okay, or Amazon. Yeah, so suppose this is uh, uh, a very worldwide famous e-commerce website, right? Same way, in India we have uh, Flipkart, right, which is our own Flipkart. Flipkart is also very famous, right? People must be knowing. So yeah, so let us say, for an example, here many things people can do, but one important thing that we do is, let us say, buyer buying the product. Okay, buyer buying the product. So suppose I have to buy a product on Flipkart, then right, so that is one scenario, that is one task. Scenario means a complete end-to-end flow, okay, and to end flow or task, right, or you can say story, user story. User, why we call user? User means the person, right, person who is using, and his story on the application. So let us say a buyer buying a product means a user buying a product. So suppose I have to buy a product on this, so that will be one called one scenario, right? Scenario. So likewise there will be multiple scenarios, okay, like suppose I have to buy what are different multiple scenarios. So I have to buy a product, same way I have to cancel a product, same way I have to register as a new user, right? Then same way, uh, suppose you want to write a feedback, correct? Same way, suppose you want to raise a complaint. So you see different uh, scenarios, right? Different story of a user are there on an e-commerce website, right? So that's what. So you got the idea, right? What is the meaning of an scenario? Same way, suppose you are booking there is a food booking website, food ordering website, right? So there what will be different user story will be there, right? Suppose you want to book the food, so food booking. You want to cancel the food. You want to raise a complaint there, right? You want to change your booking. So different task, right? Different task the user can do on a website, that is called as scenario. Very clear, right? Different business scenario. So we have to identify those business scenario on any application, on any application. Now will ask me how I can do that, right? Suppose I'll give you an application. Let us say, suppose this application I will give you to test, right? This is the application you have to test. You have to do performance testing. Now you do not know, right, what to do here. Do you know Flipkart? Why I'm giving example of Flipkart? Because Flipkart everyone knows, right, what we do. But let us say this is a new application I am giving you to do performance testing. Do you know what to do here? No idea, right? So you can take help of anyone in the team who knows what to do. What are the different scenarios? You can ask them very frankly, hey, what are the different user story here? What are the different user story that I have to test? What are the different tasks that user does on this application? And do I have to test all the user story or only the few or only the selected, right? This way you can take help. No need to worry that you do not know anything, right? You can take help. Be bold always, right? Be bold and ask them the what is the flow, what is the scenario is, correct? And then take a note of that. That is what we have to identify the scenario which we have to test, and then we have to document them, right? And we have to document the transactions also. Now what is transaction, right? So for every scenario there are steps. Okay, there are baby steps, like very simple. You'll understand it. Let us say buyer buying a product. So on this Flipkart, suppose I have to buy a product, then what I'll do? So steps will be there, right? So first step will be what? I have to open flipkart.com, correct or not? That is what I have to launch the page, Flipkart page. Then I have to search something, whatever I want to buy. Let us say I want to buy laptop. So next step is what? Searching a product. Then I'll get this many laptops. Okay. And whatever laptop I like, that I'll be clicking on that, right? Anyone, anyone you like, you click on that. Let's say this one. Then you go to the next page. Then here you click on add to cart, or you click on buy now, whatever, right? And then you have to log in, right? You have to log in. Then click on continue. Then you have to fill in the delivery address, or you have to choose the delivery address. Then finalize the order summary, then make the payment, and then this is how the order will be booked. And then you will be doing log out, right? Log out. Okay. So you see different steps. So these steps that we do on a website, that is called transactions of that scenario. So every scenario will be having these steps in very layman's language. The different user action, right? UA, remember, different user action that we do on a website for a scenario. Those user actions are called a transaction. In technical world, we call them a technical word, right? We call these user actions as a transaction. So every scenario, remember, every scenario will be having every scenario will be having some uh, uh, transactions. Okay, the user actions or the transaction, right? Every scenario. So those transactions also you have to identify and you have to practice also, and you have to document them. Same way, let us say that's what I told. Let's suppose this. So this application you have to test. So you will be asking, let us say if you do not know what are the scenario that you have to test. So that business scenario you have to ask, and then what are the transactions involved in that, right? That you have to identify. Okay, and then you have to document them. That is right. Once that is done, then we do the script recording. Correct. Okay. Apart from that, there is critical scenario and feasible and non-feasible scenario. So critical scenario means what? The very important scenarios are called critical scenarios. Then feasible means the scenario which we can do, and non-feasible means the scenario which we cannot do. Which we cannot do means what? Which we cannot do performance testing. That is non-feasible. That all you can put and document. Right. Once that is done, then we do script recording. So in script recording, what we do is basically we basically record or capture, right? It is basically recording or capturing the request and response for each transaction or each user action, right? For a particular business or test scenario on an application. So as I said, suppose you are working on product booking, right? So we have to do the script preparation for that product booking scenario. Now, what is script preparation? This basically the script preparation will start with the script recording. So we have to do the script recording for this product booking scenario. So basically, what is this script recording? We have to capture, right? We have to record and capture the request and response for each transactions, right? Because for each scenario there are some transactions, right? So for each transaction there will be some request and response. You have to capture them, right, for that particular business scenario, right, on that application. Now we'll understand this in detail, right? Do not worry. What is this request and response? So that is what we do. Once that is done, then we do enhancement. Enhancement is very big phase. This is the phase where we do correlation, parameterization, putting assertion, use of functions, writing some codes, test data preparation, right, setting in tool that we do, and then in last we do the stabilization, script replay and debugging and stabilization. Okay, so first we'll understand this thing, right? What is request and response for a transactions, right? So before that we'll understand about HTTP protocol. It is a very famous protocol. Okay, now what is this HTTPS protocol? So this HTTPS protocol, this in general is the communication protocol for web applications, right, between a browser and the application. Okay, means any application that we access through a browser. This is a browser, right? Suppose I have used Google Chrome, and using my Google Chrome is a browser, and using this browser I am accessing any this website, right? Any of this website. So this kind of websites, this uh, yeah. So uh, so the browser, right, using which the user is communicating with the application, right? So in between, the communication protocol is there, communication medium is there. So that communication medium is what? HTTP protocol. Okay, so through this HTTPS protocol only, the browser and the application are communicating with each other. Generally we are not directly communicating, we are using browser, and through browser we are communicating with the application. Okay, So that is the protocol which is used, very famous protocol. This protocol is used in not only for browser and application, but in web services. Okay, web services also. The same protocol is used. Uh, REST and SOAP, REST and SOAP web services, and then microservices. Microservices are nothing but extension of REST and SOAP web services. Uh, then then mobile apps, right? Mobile apps. So they also communicate with internet, right, through this HTTPS protocol only. Okay, so it's a very good and very famous protocol, right? Now this protocol has 5 schema or 5 components. What are those? Request, response, headers, request method, and a status code. Right? Request, response, headers, request method, and a status code. And now out of these, so we'll talk about this. Do not worry. I'll tell you all this with the example only. So before that, read one thing that see, HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol. Okay, it means that it does not remember its previous state or previous information. It's like a Gajni. Okay, Gajni. So how it does not remember its previous state, that I'll show you in future with example. Okay, do not worry. But this protocol is called stateless protocol. Right, now next. Uh, so a user action or a transaction on a web application generates a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, and in return the server sends us the response. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? I'll tell you. Let us say this Amazon. Okay, I'll use Amazon to show you. So I have to open the amazon.com, right, this website. So what I did, uh, I have opened this website. I have typed this website in the address bar and I have hit the enter button. Right, I have hit the enter button. Now, so this what happened? This goes as a request. Okay, this goes as a request to the server. So this is a user action. So just a second before I talk about this. Uh, yeah, before we go and understand uh, this all thing, right? Let us understand about one thing called browser developer tool. Okay, browser developer tool. Now, what is there in every browser? There is a tool called developer tool, or short form is dev tool. Dev tool, right? It's there in every browser. So how you can bring is, uh, let us say this is a browser. Which browser it is? It's a Google Chrome. It's a Google Chrome. Okay, just a second. Now, if you right click anywhere on this Google Chrome, you'll see this page called inspect. Once you open this, then this window will come inside in left hand side. This window will come. Generally, it's not in left hand side. It is downside, downwards. Okay. Generally, first time if you are opening this window will be there in the downward like this for you guys. Okay, this window will generally be in downside. Okay, you can move it on the left hand side if you wish. Generally I keep it in my left hand side, So from here, 3 dots will be there. You can move to left hand side like that. Okay, if you wish. Now here, this window, is called developer tool. Okay, dev tool here. So every browser has this tool. Even Mozilla Firefox. Let me open Mozilla Firefox. So this is Mozilla Firefox. So in Mozilla Firefox also, just a second. So in Mozilla Firefox also you can you right click anywhere and you'll see inspect button will be there. If you click on that inspect, you'll see this window. Okay, generally here also it will come on downside. Using this 3 dot, you can move it on left hand side, right hand side, wherever you wish. Okay. Now and you see it's common. So this is Mozilla Firefox browser. This is Google Chrome browser. And this thing that you see, this generally most of thing like here elements, here they call it as inspector, here is console, here a console, right? Then sources will be here, debugger, then network tab, right? Then performance memory, right? You see so many things, application here, so most of the thing will be common, you see, right? And this thing is there in every browser. Or to bring, see, so uh, how to bring this window up? Either you right click and choose inspect, correct? Through this you can bring, or by pressing F12. Pressing what? F12. Remember, F12 is a shortcut. So if you press, suppose I've selected this Mozilla Firefox, and if I press F12, it will open. This window will open. Same, you can use this here also in Google Chrome also. Just select and press F12. Okay, so that is F12 is a shortcut to bring the dev tool. Now, next. Now in this, right, we have a common. Uh, so here, generally this is element tab that you see here, the first tab, or here in Mozilla Firefox we have this inspector tab. Generally, this tab or this option, right, that is used by automation people. Remember, automation testers. Fine. This tab is generally used by automation people or by developer also. Okay. And for us, for as a performance tester, our main tab will be this network tab. Right? Our main tab will be this network tab. Okay. In this network tab, we can see the request and the response. So that's why I have brought you here. And so what I'll do, I have here Mozilla Firefox. Okay. And I'll open, let us say I'll open amazon.com here in my Mozilla Firefox. Amazon.in. So see what I did? I did one user action. I did what? I did one user action. And what is that user action? I type the amazon.in in the address bar and I then hit the enter button. Okay, so when I hit the enter button, then what happened? There was a request. You see here that request here, that there was a request that went from my end, right, from my side to the server. Okay, fine. You can click here as well. You can click here. So this is a request that got generated and it went from my side to the server, and from the server in return the response came, this response that you see, this came. Okay, now one thing before we go and discuss more in detail, see, initially when you are practicing, use Mozilla Firefox and use developer tool of Mozilla Firefox to understand the thing, because this developer tool of Mozilla Firefox is much better than the developer tool of Google Chrome. Okay, Google Chrome. Fine. So initially I will, in the session I will use Mozilla Firefox only to make you guys understand, because your things looks little bit better and more informative. Okay, right? Yeah. So remember the thing that a user action, and that user action is technically called transaction. So whenever we do a user action or transaction on an web application, it will generate a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL. Right? It will generate a HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, and in return, server will send us the response. So what I did, right? You got the idea. We send the type the address and we hit the enter button. So this address went. You see, it's a type here. You see type. So it's generally HTTP HTML request. It is also called as document, and so it uh, this HTTP HTML request, right? It went as address, HTTP HTML address in the form of a URL. This is also called as a URL. You can say, you can call, right, URL to the server, and in return server will send us the response. Okay. Now in the same way, there are many transactions on the application, right? There will be many transactions that will be doing on the application, and hence in the same way each such transaction generates HTTP HTML request in the form of URL to the server, right? In the form of URL to the server. Collectively, there are many such URL on an application for as many users action, right? So means what? There will be many transaction on the application, and when you do those many transactions, there will be many such HTTP HTML requests that will be generated in the form of URL to the server, right? So for an example, let us say what I'll do. You got the idea, right? Now what I'll do, you can clear all these things, right? You can clear all this stuff by using this recycle bin here. Now what I'll do, let me click somewhere. Suppose I'm going to click on here, tire, rim and car. Okay, so when I'll click on this, when I see, I have not clicked yet, but now I'll be clicking on this. Okay, I have clicked that. So that click is what? It's a user action, right? When I did one user action, again if you see in the address bar, you can see one URL is generated. Okay, let me copy and paste that in notepad. You see one URL is generated. This URL is right, this URL is actually a URL address, right? And it is a, you can see this URL here in, you have to just scroll up and you can see this thing over here, and its type is generally HTML or document, you can say. Okay, and you can click on this. So this is the request, which went when I did nothing, right? I just did what I just did, one click. So that was one click was one user action I did, that will be called as one transaction. So one transaction I did by clicking and it generated one URL, HTTP HTML URL. That URL went as a request to the server. Server means what? The Amazon application, right? And in return the response key. This response you can see here also in this tab, right? Here also it's showing, right? So likewise, okay. So again I'll show you one more. Let us say I have cleared there. Now suppose I'll be clicking on this product. Okay, let me clear everything here and then let me click on this product. So again I clicked on this product, right? So you see again one more URL got generated over here. You can copy this and you can put it here. Okay, and yeah, what happened? Oh, sorry. Yeah, so again you see I did one click and one URL. Forget about what these things are, right? I'll tell you later on. You just let us scroll to top and you can find this thing, this stuff which is present over here, see, right? It's a HTTP HTML type, right? You can click here and you can see, let us go to the header tab. Okay, and you see this is the request. You see it's a big request. This request actually is in the form of URL and that is going as a request to the server, and in return this response comes, right? So you got the idea. On a website, whenever we do a user action or a transaction, there will be a HTTP HTML request that will be generated in the form of URL, and that will be going to the server, and in return server will send us the response. And on any website, right, every user action that we do, generally that is one click only. Okay, suppose you are uploading resume, you have uploaded your resume, then you are clicking on submit button or something. So everything at the end of day you will see it's click only, right? Selecting a drop down, that is also click, right? So that click is also called, that is what the user action that we are doing, and technically that will be called what? One transaction. That is what. So whenever we do one transaction, a URL will be generated in form of HTTP HTML request, and that URL will be going as a request to the server, and in return server will send us the response, right? Now here this stuff that you see, so here this, where it went? Yeah, so this part that you see, this HTTP, this is what the protocol is. Okay, protocol, that is what we are learning also, HTTP protocol. Then this part that you see, which is no common here, that is called as base URL, main URL, base URL, or it can call it as a domain name or server name or application name. You can call it anything, base URL or domain name or server name or application name or IP address, right? IP address, that you can call it. Then after this, you see this thing that changes every time when we do a user action. This thing gets changed, right? This part, that is called a subpath, path, subpath, subpath or path, or sub URL, right? Sub URL, okay, sub URL. You can call that. So on every action, this thing will be keep on changing. Okay, new request in the form of different sub URL will be going to the server, and response will be coming uh, uh, right from the server side. Okay, so that is what actually request and response is. Right now, there is more on this. So I think this should we should cover today only. Okay, not an issue. We'll cover this in next session, right? Uh, because since this is beginning, so we'll go a little bit slow. Okay. Okay, right. So try to understand these things. Okay. Then your doubt will be clear, right? So if you practice and then you see this thing, you'll get the idea what is happening here, right? Okay. So thank you.